G'day listeners. Today we're joined by Antoinette Pitt. Antoinette is running for the Legislative Council for Eastern Victoria. We're going to chat about kindness, compassion. These are the key elements. Plus as well, homelessness. We're going to chat about views about God's presence in our society still. Whether or not we should...
Whether it's on the right or left.
That's a good point. That's worth mentioning. And
nail that one.
if what God would say about these upcoming protests as well, whether these protesters should be cancelled in Melbourne. Some controversial topics ahead. But I'm very keen to chat with an independent candidate. Okay, so let's get going. G'day listeners, welcome to My First Party, the podcast where we meet the people rebuilding politics at the grassroots level. My name's Owen Miller, I'm the convener and a candidate for the Fusion Party.
I'm Peter Jodas, I'm advocating again for the Horny Devils. So
Ant, you mentioned before in the intro, so running for state parliament, Eastern Victoria, was it?
Yeah, so I'm running for the Eastern region of Victoria. It's a nice big chunk of Victoria. It is like from Yarra Glen down to the Mornington Peninsula, and then it goes all the way out to Lakes Entrance. So it covers a big part of Victoria. A lot of our farming communities and a lot of tourism as well. So very, very diverse.
Did we say, sorry, in the map, part of it was Melbourne itself, was it? Did you say?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No,
Peninsula.
Yeah.
I see, yeah.
Yeah, so regional pretty much, yeah.
I see. Oh, okay. One of the things I wanted to chat about, you heard about the machetes. They're taking them off the streets in Melbourne. Melbourne's going to be a lot safer now without the machetes.
Yeah.
But I guess not something you were concerned about.
No, a lot of... I've heard some quips about that, because we haven't seen too much of it.
And you're suggesting they could redeploy them out to that region for arbory purposes?
Well, when you're trying to get through the lantana, is it, and the blackberries, you need the machete for that, isn't it?
I don't know. I've not had to get through lantana.
No nexus with that comment. So.
Well, I guess. The further you go out of the cities, it's more guns you have to be worried about out there.
More guns.
Not since John Howard's proposition to buy back.
No, I heard actually, it's rebounding. I heard there are as many guns as when John Howard brought those laws in '96. Oh, that's not true.
I don't know.
I need to get a fact checker.
No, I couldn't say either way. I'd take that with a grain of salt.
Okay.
And I think we've always got to remember that it's not America. We're not doing open carry, and we're okay.
Actually, on that point, listeners, if we get monetized on YouTube, then we can spend some money on. Would that be the first thing we spend money on?
Guns okay. I'm sure which way you're heading.
If we get guns, we can get a lot more than what we're saying. Do you happen to see the episode we did with Alex Kane?
No, I did not. Okay.
But we were discussing, the loyal listeners will remember, Bhutan, they have $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and the weakest armed force in the world.
Oh.
So if we had guns. But actually, on that note...
take over Bhutan.
Don't say it too. But on that note, and have you seen all the trouble brewing off the coast of Venezuela at the moment?
No.
Also,
feel free to fill me in. Sorry.
The U.S. Navy is I don't know which department it is, but U.S. warships going off the coast of Venezuela, and many people are speculating that they're going to get some democracy there in Venezuela. And curiously, they have I think it's the world's largest proven oil reserves.
Hold on. Just got a fact check. Are you saying America is going to intervene to impose democracy?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
But they've also got lots of oil reserves.
And America hasn't been derailing their attempt to rule themselves, so they're going to impose their view of democracy in another country again.
Yeah.
Because of the massive oil deposits there.
Well, actually,
wow, who would have thought? Who would have thought?
It's curious, actually, when we say, is America's view of democracy, very democratic anymore? I don't know. What do you see?
Anymore. But anyway, let's answer the question, please.
Well, and where do you see as the gold standard? Where is it, I guess, when people think of what democracy was supposed to be, or what it could be? Is there somewhere that comes to mind for you where this is a pretty good model?
Well, I think Australia's pretty good. Unfortunately, I think what you have to have and what America doesn't have is that compulsory voting. Because then you aren't just getting extreme votes. You're getting just average, everyday people going in there and saying, that guy's not so bad, or what, I'll vote for the not so bad person. Whereas if you haven't got that compulsory voting and you've just got the really passionate people who go in there and are just going one way or the other, then yeah, it's going to get skewed and you're going to run into trouble. Because at the end of the day, it tends to be the louder, squeaky door, more right-wing people who are louder and more passionate and more motivated to spread the hate. Whereas people...
When we have optional voting now.
Yeah, when it's optional voting, whereas the people who are just out there to be kind and you know, just go about their everyday business, they haven't got that sort of motivation and passion to get in there and vote as much.
Yeah, I wonder actually, when you say like it's the outspoken right-wing people, that I noticed that being thrown around a lot, that, you know, the right wing gets cast as, you know, cookers, crazy people. There was as well, actually, did you guys hear about the March for Australia coming up a week from now?
Yes.
And yeah, so the interpretation I heard of it was, you know, a whole bunch of right-wing Nazi sympathizers. And, you know, there was talk like, oh, well, should we cancel it? The fact that like some quote unquote cookers want to come along to our protest. But there was a compelling point I saw that it was saying that, you know, if you're advocating for a cause on the right, and then, you know, like Nazis think, hey, you know, we agree as well, let's come along. You know, there's this expectation, oh, well, you have to cancel it now. Versus for left-wing protests, like we saw across the Harbour Bridge recently in the March for Palestine, I saw a photo, someone was wearing waving an ISIS flag, and the article was saying that the police confirmed that guy waving the flag is a convicted ISIS recruiter.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
And so,
But can we just take this diatribe a little bit back a step? So the For Australia protest group,
March for Australia,
and you know, then you said there could be an unsavoury element like the Nazis who might want to join it. Can we just actually dissect and interrogate who are these Let's Advocate for Australia group to begin with? And what are they actually advocating? Because I really wanted to make a distinction between who they are versus this bad element that may be coming in versus the example you gave about the people, whether you want to call them left or anything, for stopping genocide. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that word anymore. Versus this one person who came out and then we want to change the terms of reference to say, well, look at how bad this group is because of this one individual, as opposed to my question, who's this Pro for Australia?
Oh, well, what I was reading on the website. So they want, I'm trying to get the exact quote. It was something like, we want an end to like out of control migration. I think they worded it.
Sure. So a Nazi group is going to come and make their platform. You'd probably have to. Yeah.
I've seen a few people have debunked this march. The only person I can quote at the moment is Purple Pingers, is coming to mind, who have researched into the people who have been generating
who started it.
And it's basically come down to a person who is a descendant of a very wealthy property developer, and they currently own over 30,000 properties that are empty. And the reason that they're saying about the migration in Australia, which actually is not an issue,
it's a
if you look at the
deflection.
statistics, it is not an issue. The reason why they're saying that is that they're trying to divert
Absolutely.
the reason why there's problem with housing. And the reason there's problem with housing is because people are hoarding housing.
Correct. And he's part of that problem. So therefore, you shift again to are kids being thrown overboard? How do we win an election? Which taps into the, I'll be kind and say xenophobic, the reality of racist tendencies that goes through our society here.
You're saying, how can we change the topic?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what is spot on about who is behind this group. So to then say, anyone says, oh, there may be a Nazi element, I'd rather speak to a Nazi because they probably have, if they understand their policies, a platform. These guys are just playing a diversion trick of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. Oh, I guess part of me feels as well, it's like, let's accept for it that, you know, unlikable people are the ones organizing it.
No. It's not unlikable. The characters could be absolutely great. They have a particular other agenda.
Agenda.
Sure, but I guess couldn't someone else, like, what if we just take it at face value? So if there's a protest, so the two stated aims were...
So what are they protesting?
Well, yeah, so the two stated aims were they want reduced immigration and they want an end to quote unquote weak government. And, you know, like I was the main author for Fusion's housing policy. Although it wasn't the main thing, one of the things we did suggest was a reduction in immigration. When you're talking about the empty homes, like, yes, we believe that tax changes are the number one way to sort out the housing crisis.
100%.
But anyway, so, you know, I agree that immigration should be reduced.
Why?
It's not, I mean, it's generating terrible outcomes for the immigrants themselves. It's not benefiting society in the way that it was hoped.
Based on the current situation. So unless we change the taxation system, we change the actual infrastructure and logistics, then we can then pick on the symptoms. And that's what we do. And that's what these guys then latch onto and use as their platform whilst they've got a different agenda. So whilst we then get hooked into the terms of reference that they then choose us to focus on, we then lose the actual discussion that we should be having.
Sure, yes.
So and like a lot of our healthcare and a lot of our retail and a lot of our services are run off the back of immigrants. We do not have enough people that are trained up or are even willing to do those jobs because the pay is not great enough. So they're stepping up, they're coming in, and a lot of them are coming them all already skilled. They're bringing their skills over. And if you take immigration out of our system, basically our nursing homes
I'm not saying to end it.
So, one more thing, and to that point, which a lot of people forget, and my parents were included. So when you bring in adult immigrants, as a nation, you don't invest in raising that person, which is a big investment from infant, adolescent, to adulthood. The amount that has to be invested, including education, we don't do it. You just bring them in already skilled. So when people say skilled migrants, for instance, which is part of Australia's policy, we don't invest in that. We're getting it for free. No. There's no. It happens, right?
But what do you mean? Like, Australia is unique. Like,
no. So to raise a child here, we have to, as a society, we invest in that.
Well, yeah, like you're saying, like, yes, this person comes like as a nurse, as a plumber or whatever.
So all we focus on is that they've got a degree. But what we don't focus on is the hundreds and thousands of millions that went into investing in that person to get to that point. We get that for free.
In the other country before they left.
But you're saying like this person is essentially the same just because both of them have a nursing degree, both of them have whatever skills. There's more to a person than just their job title.
No, I get that, but I'm saying as a country, if we're saying it even about what they contribute to this country here, we're getting this extra resource, right? Because they're coming in for that purpose, their skills.
Yeah, but like, I guess these people in the protest would argue as well, like, if we think about like social harmony, someone who, might not even speak fluent English.
Well, hold on. Now, I don't even know we're getting to racist commentary, right? Which is what their platforms also built on.
It's worth pointing out that, in terms of migrants coming to Australia, I mean, England has always ranked highly. New Zealand ranks highly.
When we had a white policy for immigration,
Even now, I thought like England still makes up a big chunk of migration.
India's a big chunk as well.
India's definitely, I think, top three at least,
I was watching the news this morning and there was actually a big protest over in the UK against immigration. And there was, the footage was actually of the pushback at the counter protest.
Correct.
Okay.
But then the next article that was on the news was also about a Wales town that has declared they're shutting down because of rising sea levels. So that is hundreds of people now that are effectively migrants that have to move.
Refugees, That's just to finish off this refugee, the immigration thing, I should just mention, Fusion's policy was to reduce immigration back to 2017 levels. So I just wanted to clarify, like, sure, I'm calling for immigration to be reduced, but not as much as the people on the streets want it to be reduced. Okay, but
so just if you are going to that rally, you are marching with Nazis, and there are no good Nazis. Please don't be counted among them.
Although Hitler was a relatively good painter, I think, before he joined. But anyway, no, he was.
I don't want to get cancelled. Let's just change topic.
Okay.
One of the things, but can I just also say there is going to be a counter march for that against that march.
Yeah, and I would say that there's probably going to be a lot of people anticipating that. So I would encourage, if you are going, please be careful. There will be anarchists just rubbing their hands together, ready to get in there and get other people in trouble.
Well, having said that, now that you've told them that, the anarchists probably won't do it.
Oh no, they'll still do it.
Not if you enforce that, because they like being told.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
But then, actually, yeah, next week, the listeners, put it in your calendar. We'll have Felix Dance from the Vic Socialists. He'll be coming on the podcast next week. We're going to have, Peter, we're doing pretty well. We have a full spectrum, don't we? We had Rachel Verstegen from the Libertarians. Now at the other end, I guess, Vic Socialists. By the way, listeners...
He doesn't know where to put me.
we'll see.
I'm just a rainbow.
Well, having said that, you began telling us who you were before we got interrupted.
Yeah.
Please continue. You are from rural Victoria right through to the peninsula. That's, I think, where we left off.
Yeah, so I live out in Montrose. I actually grew up in Lilydale, and my husband grew up in Mooroolbar. We are very localized to that area, and I love that area. I wouldn't leave it for the world. But yeah, so I have run previously for government in the federal election, and I have had a lot of people telling me you need to try to council, you need to cut your teeth on council, or run for the seat. And I can't do that, because the topics that I keep hearing about from everyone are topics that affect all of Victoria. That is not a localised, fix the potholes sort of thing. So that's the reason that I'm running for state, is because people are crying out for action on homelessness, and that is my main topic that I want to get into Parliament and get action on. And so that's why I'm running for state.
Excuse my ignorance. So independent or
independent? Yeah. I am federally with a micro party called Australian Progressives, but a few years ago the government bumped up the
registration
minimum amount, the minimum amount of members.
They tripled it.
Yeah, they tripled the minimum amount of members to be able to register as a party.
Right.
So you have to have a whole heap of members to be registered as a party, and you need to be registered as a party to then have your people running and for people to vote for you. And so a lot of people want to vote for you, but they don't want to cross that line to be a member. So it's really hard to get that membership level up. So I've just been talking to a lot of people, and I'm also a job rep for the ANMF. So I represent people at my workplace already. So I'm already sort of...
The ANMF.
ANMF, so the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation. And so I've already, I've gone through an EBA with them and helped push for better pay and better penalties and a safe workplace to be working in. And so I'm used to that sort of stepping up, and I'm hearing too many people saying things aren't being done. There's no action. The big parties are saying they're going to do something, but each time we vote them in, they still don't do it.
So have you been doing this now for how long? Active in politics?
Probably got proper active in politics probably about 5 or 6 years ago.
Would you say, even your, dabbling into running and so forth, do you think it's getting harder for independents and smaller parties to be?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think as we saw with this last federal election, we saw the independents footprint really increase and the engagement really increase with independents. And I think, as you saw, the major parties have sort of put through this new legislation of trying to make sure, what am I trying to say, with the funding?
Yeah.
And so they've sold it as a way of we're making it more equal and better for minor parties. But in actual fact, they're not talking about the fact that these two major parties have already got major investments already sorted that they draw funds from. And that's not counted in it.
No.
So it's very...
So it sort of ties back to the question I want to ask then, because earlier on Owen asked, where do you see democracy actually existing proper.
Where's the best?
Yeah, and the best. And your answer was Australia. And I'm thinking, well, we're actually diluting that. And the two major parties are getting that stranglehold now.
Well, yeah.
And so, sure, we all get to cast a vote, and sort of, bet on this horse race every 3-4 years. And, what colour silks do you want? Do you want red? Do you want blue? And effectively, we'll kind of maybe have a little flutter on the others.
Yep.
But it's getting so much more rigged now that it's going to be like America. Are you a red or blue? And so what?
Yeah.
We're just going to take a photo with the thing at the end and say, well done. And it's the same thing. So back to the point about democracy and what does it actually mean by definition, let alone where does it actually work? I think here we're just, delusional to think that it's actually more than just two parties now and who buys their control.
So yeah, the best way for our government to work is to actually get that minority government. And that's a proper representation
100%.
of our beautiful, diverse
Agreed.
society.
Yeah.
And I think a really big clue is every time an election comes around, what do you hear from Liberal and Labor about preferential voting? Nothing. They don't
some of that
talk
stuff
about
is, a vote for, an independent is a vote for Labor
Well,
or for Greens.
I'd say I thought you were going to go down this path, but I'll jump in and say, I thought the last election, again, like anything, the same statement, follow the money. If you followed what the parties did this last election, like the LNPs shot themselves in the foot anyway. So you look at what Labor did, and Labor just persecuted the Greens. Right, because for them
it works.
Yeah, no, it definitely worked because they were always in bed with the LNP anyway, as far as how to monopolise going forward. And Labor's now totally in control for the next indefinite period, and LNP together, it's going to be the same. But what they both agreed on was let's get rid of the third major party, and they persecuted them. So that again, I'm saying follow the money, follow the discourse. It was about how do we get rid of it. We put the legislation in place. Let's destroy this, and then that's it. It's just us.
Yep.
So that's what you have to follow.
And unfortunately, yeah, and it's annoying because it sounds really tinfoil hat.
No. It's not. It's.
I know it's not.
Yeah, no, because
but for an outsider who doesn't have anything to do with politics, when they hear that, it's like.
Oh look,
yeah,
I think
right.
generally in life, people either have a political conscience or they don't. You can't necessarily tell someone something if they don't have that consciousness. And it's like saying to someone, is someone smart or intelligent? You can go to school, you can book learn things, and you can be really smart, but there's a difference between intelligence, and you either know or you don't. Yeah.
And people are so downtrodden at the moment. We are working so hard. There's some people working 2 jobs or more to get by, to feed their family, to keep the roof over their head. Like, we can't be pushing down on them and saying you need to get more engaged in politics. I mean, it's beneficial and we need them to, but they're struggling. People are really struggling and really doing it hard. And I think unless we actually help alleviate that, and unless the people who are benefiting from that happening step up and alleviate that, then we are going to struggle getting that real balance of democracy in government.
Oh, I can, when you say that, these people, it might not be the right time for them to become engaged. I guess, to be fair, if we think back about revolutions in history, revolutions come about because these people are being oppressed for, decades. They're being extremely oppressed. And couldn't we argue that, those people, I mean, I'm thinking...
Getting fertile.
Well, like in Haiti, for instance, I'm not sure if you are aware, but, that was the slaves overthrew the French slave owners and gained independence. If people are literally in slavery and yet they still band together.
I prefer not to get to that, but
No, but you're saying these
the
people are very busy.
even the consciousness, because they see that
But it's
you're
not
living
that they're busy. It's like they haven't got the mental space. We haven't got the energy.
Yeah, but aren't you saying sort of you're excusing it? You're saying these people,
No, I'm not excusing it. A lot of people would like to be involved. But they don't have the mental space. They don't have the energy left over from just trying to survive life. And we shouldn't be just trying to survive life. We should be living life. Surviving life shouldn't be enough. And we deserve to ask for more. There's the union saying, we deserve the bread and the roses. We should be able to have roses as well as the sustenance that we want. We should be allowed to have that coffee, to treat ourselves to get through the week. We shouldn't be pushed down just for having that coffee to help us get through that week.
I guess my question is more if we can say that, like, if slaves can manage to overthrow their oppressive government,
Yes.
then can anyone in Australia really legitimately say, I'm too busy for politics?
I'd have to agree with you, Owen.
But that's the thing. But you're talking about slaves, people who are like genuinely suffering and dying. Like, I don't want them to get to that stage. I want people to step up and identify these people aren't having a great life. Let's help them out before we get into slavery.
But I guess your comments almost then is like saying, look, they can absolve themselves because, it's better, it's easier to just watch and see Carlton's going to win again this week because that's all the capacity they have, which may then lead them to a self-fulfilling prophecy of becoming slaves in the modern world, and hope that some vanguard rises to lead them out of the AFL, abyss that they're living into a better life.
Okay, but on top of that, we've also had decades of the major parties telling them that they're wasting their votes, diluting the information, pressing down on the actual power that people have of preferential voting. Like, it's such a massive power that we should be grasping. And if the major parties genuinely wanted our democracy to thrive, they would be educating every election, or even just more than that, about the power of
I don't think
voting.
I'm disagreeing with you on any major points. So I agree the voting system should change. I agree that, people need to, I guess, become informed, and it needs people with education and knowledge on this to talk to them about it. The only thing I probably disagree is that, people don't have capacity to know what's in their self-interest. I think what's happening today in our society is
I didn't say they didn't know what's in their self-interest.
Well, you said they don't have capacity to actually think politically.
No, more to engage.
Well, they need to engage because they're engaging in other aspects of life, or whether it's sport, etc. It's just where do they choose to allocate that discretionary energy. And I think if they actually are informed about, if you're in a trailer, living in a trailer and voting for Trump, there's something misaligned with your, political status versus what's going on. So there needs to be some information because they're engaged in other aspects. They're just, something's misaligned as far as the class, war that's going on.
Yeah.
But
So that's many generations that have led to that, and miseducation.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean that can't be aligned again. That's the bit
I think we're saying.
Yeah, but as I'm saying, I just disagree that I don't think they have capacity. I think people are still informed. They just need to be realigned.
Sorry, Anne, can you elaborate before you were saying like why people have become tuned out, how they're being misled? Can you elaborate on that?
As into being, so you'll hear people saying about like it's a wasted vote, or people will go in and do a docu vote. And so we've just had, I don't think in schooling we put enough emphasis on the power that you have when you vote.
Oh, sorry, what's your theory why they're doing the docu vote?
Is because they don't think that there is that power. They don't realise they have that power.
Even when they're right, I see,
Yeah, they're like, whatever, I'm going in, I'm crossing off, I'm not getting a fine for not attending because I've got my name crossed off. But they don't realise the actual power they have. They've had so many generations of just saying, oh, whatever, it'll just be one of the two that'll get in. And they don't realise that there's all these other people that they could be voting for.
Actually, I do find it curious. So I was running in the Aston election in 2023, Southeast Melbourne. And comparing that to, Brunswick Wills recently, it was a noticeably different vibe amongst the voters. In Aston, there was much more like that sort of fatalist, nihilistic sort of vibe. Like, doesn't matter how I vote.
Yep.
People were telling, I tried giving a fusion flyer to one guy, for instance. Fusion, never heard of them, and kept walking. And it's like, well, I have dot points. You could find that.
And even if they do hear of you, even if we do hear of you, then it's, well, but I'm wasting my vote. And that term has been nurtured by the medias.
Yeah.
They have allowed that to grow, and that's very disappointing.
Yeah.
But we have now, obviously, As we're participating in different mediums, right, to communicate with people.
Yeah.
So going back to your point that, this has been cultivated over generations, and it has, and, people vote how they vote based on, what they understood. There are opportunities now to engage not just at the polling booth and say, here's my thing, so this is what's happening.
Yeah.
I wonder actually, so speaking of wasting our votes, who are the
Which you don't.
or who are the other contenders for Eastern Victoria? Who would be a waste of a vote?
No, there's no wasted vote. If you think someone stands for you, then vote for them. Unfortunately, I'm going for the Legislative Council, and that isn't actually done by preferential voting. That's still a group ticket. So that's still the old-fashioned one of like, oh, if I vote for you, where are your preferences going to go?
Oh, you
So-
decide the preference. Oh, that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So it's not very democratic. I don't like it. It's actually something that I will fight for if I get in, is to change that over to the preferential vote.
Can't voters put in more numbers?
They can. There is
Okay.
that option.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you can, there's the top and the bottom where you can decide. If you go down the bottom, you're deciding where the preferences go, or you just tick the top box and the preferences go where that person directs them.
Oh, but I guess I was trying to ask like who typically does well in the votes for Eastern Victoria. I guess it would be Labor recently, isn't it?
Labor and Liberal,
Yeah.
some Nationals.
Yeah.
And we've got a business shooter party in there at the moment as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Done.
Is that for me?
Done.
So we should tell them about our Bhutan plan.
Lots of Bitcoin.
yeah. But no, it's curious. I would have thought, like, I don't know, are most of their issues resolved? I mean, like we were saying before, there are lots of guns. I heard something recently about like hunting in national parks. People, to be fair, I didn't read the whole story. I don't know if you're familiar with this. We need a fact checker.
Pay us.
No, I am not up to date with that. I know there has been some recent changes because I've heard some groaning about it, but I couldn't quote on that. Sorry.
Oh, but I guess so Fusion, Australian Progressives, Animal Justice Party, we all have pretty similar values.
Yeah.
What are your views about like animal welfare, for instance? Is there anything that you would change on that front?
I don't like the live exports. I don't see the point in it. It's
For any animal.
terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand the point of it. Yeah. So I would definitely be for changing that. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, did you see just a few months ago in Australia you can now buy cultivated quail, lab grown meat. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Quail.
Yeah. Oh, who knows? How
Yeah.
No,
much
I like
it's
quail, but
Choice.
I know. Why would they market it as quail?
Well, I'm pretty sure it might have the actual proteins. It might actually be quail, but just not grown as an animal to kill later. I guess some viewers might like to dispute, like, oh, if it was never, flapping, then is it really quail? But like if the quail steak on your plate has the same chemical makeup and everything.
You should have spoken about duck, and I could have used that sort of.
Oh yeah. It looks like a
edit.
duck. But it's you see it's a shame because there's that chemical Bovair, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. They're putting it in beef now. It
Fact
reduces.
checking again.
Oh no, don't worry, I know these facts. It reduces.
I meant the pronunciation.
Oh yeah. But it reduces the methane emissions from cows by at least 50%.
Okay.
But then you see lots of they seem to be right-wing people complaining. I don't want basically chemicals in my beef. Like my complaint is that I don't eat beef at all because it's the worst for global warming. 50% reduction isn't enough as far as I'm concerned. I guess, do you do any of that? Are you vegan? Or do you?
I'm vegetarian myself.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's more for health reasons. My body just functions better
Okay.
without red meat. So a pescatarian, I suppose. I'm not vegetarian. I still eat fish. Sorry, fish. But yeah, no, definitely. I think from an environmental aspect, we definitely need to sit down and crunch the numbers and work out a better way of doing things. There are the other options of seaweed, I've heard, for feeding cows, and apparently that decreases the
Oh
methane.
yeah, that was. I think this might have come out of the seaweed research.
Oh,
Actually.
there you go,
I was
yeah.
keeping tabs on
Yeah.
that because there was they had some studies.
It works for sea cows.
Oh, I guess so. But yeah, there's some studies years ago were showing that like red seaweed, for instance, reduced the amount of methane by 98%.
Wow,
I think
there
it
you
was.
go.
Except unfortunately couldn't be replicated
Yeah.
outside the lab. And so I think maybe this Bovair product is like probably stems from that same research.
Could be just a lot of hot air.
I don't know. I think we need to be very careful about what we do with our food. I mean, it's already full of plastic. What else are we gonna do with it? I think we need to seriously consider like the future outcome of any alterations that we're doing. Not just right. This will work for now. We need to just go. Well, hang on, wait. What's that long-term effect?
Well, yeah, I was reading, was it 2040? It was 2040 or 2050. By that time, there'll be as much mass of plastic in the ocean as the mass of fish. Which, yeah, terribly concerning.
It's crazy.
By which year?
It was either 2040 or 2050.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need
It's
to
not
fact
far
check.
away.
Yeah, but I don't think I'll be that kind of active by then. So,
That's not that far away.
well, I
15
mean,
years.
yeah, but I'm talking about just how active I'll be. So, by
Oh,
then,
you still want to visit the beach or like eat fish or something?
Well, I reckon most.
Maybe not, yeah.
Fact checking, I don't know this for sure, but when they were done a recent test of presence of microplastics in test subjects' testicles, and I think it was just over 50%
did you say testicles?
testicles.
Okay.
In your testicles, and it's also been proven that microplastics are actually traveling through the umbilical cord now.
Into the baby. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
It's crazy. We're basically almost made of plastic already. So we have to do so much more than we're already doing, which is one thing. Well, not one thing because there's many things, but it is something that I focus on because I am a nurse in healthcare, but I also see all the waste involved in that, and so that has actually
Lots of
turned
plastic,
me
I guess,
into a
yeah.
recycler. Yeah, so I'm actually recycling as well. So I work for a company called MedCycle as well, to help healthcare reduce their waste to landfill.
This was not a paid advertisement.
Oh, sorry. No, I really just started it, so I'm very excited.
We've had a few of the guests who've come on. They act like it's their podcast, yeah.
Well, not as bad as it was. No, sorry, you weren't as bad. I mean, we've had some individuals there who, like tries to take over. This was nothing.
Yeah, but actually, well, Peter, before when I mentioned, who in 15 years won't you still be eating fish? I think actually, like, we see more and more people becoming vegetarian, don't we? It seems to be
It feels that way, yeah. It feels that way, and like
vegan as well.
Yeah.
Especially around here in Brunswick, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, and I assume it still applies. They used to like what was it called? Beyond 2000.
The show.
The show?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
They were talking that back then when that was existing was like that we would be eating insects
Yeah.
to get our protein.
Yeah.
And I don't see why that isn't a thing still now. I imagine it still is. I just haven't seen much of it. But
It's hard, I guess. There's marketing plays such a massive part of
it's
food.
the growth factor.
And yeah, because I remember actually back in New York, I was living there just before COVID. When this story came up, it was in East Village. There was a restaurant opening up where they were serving crickets and all sorts of insects. I was meaning to go, but then COVID happened. The place shut down, and
Great story.
But I was saying that it had its chance.
Oh, okay.
It could have.
I
It's like New York.
I thought you were just giving us another one of your travel anecdotes.
But then as well, so 11 Madison Park, Madison Square, the highest rated restaurant in the world. I forget who the judge was. But yeah, they became vegan, I think during COVID. And at least, in the articles I was reading about it, it was saying that this is like really making an impact. The fact that 11 Madison Park was already the highest rated restaurant and then switched vegan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you see many vegan restaurants at the moment, they're still marketing as they have to explicitly say this is a vegan restaurant.
Yeah. Rather than just being a restaurant.
Yeah.
That happens.
Oh, I love vegan food. I love cooking it. My daughter was vegan for a long time. It's just so many ingredients to get.
I guess,
oh my
yeah.
God.
A lot of effort, yeah.
There's a lot of effort. I love eggplant. I love cooking it, but it's just, oh my God. Just takes
Well, but I mean, now, you can get the buy now, pay later loans for your burrito to get delivered.
I've never done Uber Eats.
But well, I don't do it either. But I guess with it being so popular to get the food delivery, I guess then it makes no difference how involved. Oh, I guess it would be. You would think it would be a higher price if it's more involved to create it. Yeah.
It's like Bitcoin mining. I'm starting to take an interest since our.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe instead of the time we spend on the podcast, maybe we should just like spend time investing, doing the research on the
Did
crypto
you buy
stocks.
those shares that your brother told
You talked me out
about?
of it. Peter can be very convincing.
Okay.
Yeah. But what we're talking, but in terms of I guess why I brought up the move towards veganism, it's like if we look back in history, all the cancel culture, the people who get most readily cancelled are dead people. Let's tear down their statues. This
Seems a bit redundant.
Or if they still have the statue, and if we're still remembering them.
Oh, I thought you were talking about because I was dead.
That we should. Oh, anyway, people have statues, have done, things that we now deem to be like, not nice. But then, if we think about our current society, I asked this before to someone.
So we'll wait till posthumously Trump dies.
I guess
Talk about the pedophilia stuff.
I'm thinking more like widespread stuff.
Okay.
I guess pedophilia is widespread, yeah. But
I don't know where this was going.
my question, and my question is
We
more,
get to it eventually.
if we look around our current society, what are some things that you feel, future generations might say, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe, they were doing this thing and they thought it was fine at the time.
Great question.
I can't believe that we allow Nazis to walk around our city and the police don't shut them down. I cannot believe that they don't get shut down.
Elon Musk was, you saw what happened recently. Like, that couldn't have happened 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like, we actually posed laws in Australia which said, if you accidentally do a faulty towers thing, you'll get arrested. And then all of a sudden, Elon Musk is doing that at election time and so forth. And the media here, again, the media would have jumped on it a couple of years ago, right? If someone prominently did it. Imagine Obama went out and did it, right? Or someone else.
But that's not the same. Yeah, sorry. Like maybe it's because of the political landscape. But I think
correct. I'm saying the political landscape has changed. But to the point that the fact that there are people now who can walk around and even march, but done it in the UK and here. The landscape has changed.
But I think it's more, the fact that he's the richest person in the world.
The media could have just vilified him, irrespective of whether he's.
I don't think they're vilifying the richest person in the world. He has a lot of influence.
But that's the point. That's the point that Nazis can be around.
But you're saying it's because of like US elections and things. I'm saying no matter who was in power, if the richest person in the world did this,
there is a cultural change.
Look at Gina Reinhardt. She supports for instance, Advance Australia. She's one of their patrons, isn't she?
Yeah. All I'm saying, there's symptoms of what is going on culturally that we can allow Nazis to walk around and do what they say.
Yeah. Anyway, Nazis thankfully aren't widespread at the moment. Yeah, I guess what I think people in the future.
I feel like people have said that in the past, and then they were. So I think it needs to be shut down. We should have learnt from the past, and there should not be Nazis marching to our streets.
Oh, actually, on that point, you say we should have learned from the past. Your lesson is Nazis shouldn't exist. What would you say though? What gave rise to Nazis? Couldn't we also ask, like how come those problems haven't been solved? Like instead of like banning Nazis, for instance, like, well, what are their concerns and like how would you talk them out of, like, would you say to these Nazi sympathizers, like, actually what you're worried about, you don't need to be worried about? How would you word that?
That's not my expertise, but basically it's fine. A lot of people turn to these sort of extreme cults because the extreme cults recognize that they need people, that they feel like they need to be needed. Most people want to be needed. And those people aren't feeling that. And the cult leaders and members are trained to recognize that and jump on it. And so it's actually the rise of Nazism, and which it's not panic stations. But like the fact that they've gotten this courage now to walk through our streets, it's actually a fault of ours. Like we are failing these people who are turning to Nazism for some reason because they are feeling failed. We need to be looking into why it's happening and stepping in before it happens.
Yeah, look, it's like any change, right? When someone feels uncomfortable with what's going on, you go through your own personal change. And the first stage of that is blame yourself, blame other. And that's what these individuals are doing too, when they don't have another source to understand what is actually happening to them. And reality is nothing has ever changed. It still was and still is a class war. So when you have someone who probably doesn't have the means to make themselves feel better in society based on their means of income, etc., and they're seeking to understand what is happening to them, and someone offers it, and it's very simplistic. It's not you, it's their fault. They're coming on the boat. And this resonates with them because they've got this bias of a collective as well. That's, it makes sense to you, it makes sense to me. We're similar. It gives them a narrative that makes quick and easy sense. And it gives them a narrative, right? So because, again, it helps them go through this change of, I'm uncomfortable with where I am now and something's happening to me, right? It's not that they're scared of what's ahead of them, because they don't understand that. Who does, right? No one can predict the future. But they're just trying to make sense of, what is changing, their comfort that's changing now. So back to the point, we need people to be informed. And this is what we're doing this about.
I guess actually, what would you say, Ant, to the idea that we said that they're looking for someone else to blame? What if society wasn't being degraded? What if what if we didn't need anyone to blame because there was nothing to blame about? There was no problem.
Like a living wage to start with.
Well, yeah, I guess. What are some of the things that you see? Like, do you agree at least with they're saying that society's going downhill? Would you agree with that, for instance? And how would we get it back on track?
I don't think society is going downhill. I think society's changing, and if we don't acknowledge that, then perhaps it might go downhill. I think we need to acknowledge that the nuclear family is not the majority at the moment anymore, and we need to change our society so it's not geared around that, so that is not you need to be this or you're just not. There's so many optional ways of living your life now that are acceptable and wonderful, and you can have your own part and still have a great life. And I think if we don't acknowledge that and we just sort of still just say regimented, there will be a problem with our society because we're not adapting, we're not growing, we're not learning. And if we do all those things, then yes, we will be okay.
Can we take a step back, sorry? Okay, so society is actually improving. Australia has the best democracy. What did you want to change, sorry?
The machete. She has machete envy. It's coming back to full circles. You have machete envy is what I've understood.
Well, that's what's so frustrating is that it is all just about changing those people making decisions for us. Change those people and to people that will make the decisions that we want or that you want or that Joe Blow wants, and it will change for the better. Like, we can protest as much as we want and, please do. If you feel the need to protest, please protest. I protest myself on stuff that I'm passionate about. But if we haven't got people in the house listening...
Can I actually just challenge it? So,
yes.
So the status is now as it is. So we're talking about what we've currently got, which I think we have agreed here as a consensus that it's not great, the political system and those, particularly in power, who they are right now. I don't think, and anyone can correct me here, that we've actually had a protest culture in Australia for a long time. The last one was probably the IVR rules that Reith tried to bring in, and everyone went on the streets and said, nah. And they, I guess, put a moratorium on it until COVID, and then they ramped them in and some. But since then, there hasn't been anything, really. Sure, we've done some stuff over the bridge. At the time, the Women's March at the time, which again did that. And I'm like, okay, when's the next iteration of it? And there's nothing more. Like,
Well, I don't think you want a lot of it.
no, you do. You do.
You have to.
Unless you like for change. Change doesn't happen because
Because you ask polite.
No, because we do a reductive commentary, right? Real change happens through, to use your words, revolution. Right? You need the vanguards. You need the people in charge to say, yes, I understand some of you can and can't do. I will also understand that where you are now, you need to understand who you are in this class war, and let's go and fight.
Yeah, I'd prefer not to though, because it's usually women and children that die.
In
So-
revolution.
But using your logic, which I agree with, if you don't, the logical conclusion is Haiti's slavery.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Well, if we don't stand up for our rights, we don't get more
I
rights.
just said to protest. So I started off by saying
No, but I'm saying we haven't protested, but you said if we do too much, people die. But I'm saying if we don't actually fight and fight properly for what we need and want, you will end up in slavery.
Yeah.
And then you have to fight and die. So there has to be some fight to prevent going to there. Otherwise, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will end up enslaved.
No, well, there's usually like some kind of protest going on every single week in the city.
But it has to be not
yeah.
reductive. It has to be active and with outcome.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess,
Okay.
I would see it not so much as the purpose, but like, yes, there are protests every week in Melbourne, but, Peter, to your point, it's not the same scale as what we've had in the past. Yeah. In terms of effective protests, by the way, there was one back in, would have been 2012, 2013, around that time in Canada. It was, especially in French Canada, the government was changing the rules about university students. They weren't going to get as much funding as they used to. And so, young people especially were protesting on the street for about a year. And sure enough, the government ended up resigning. So, yes, it can take time, but I guess there's plenty of examples throughout history. For a shorter, more entertaining version as well, I've recommended before, Les Miserables. Please tell me you're a fan as well. I really like this. I think I think Ed is the first guest who's actually watched Les Miserables.
I still like
Oh, no, I love it.
We may have to have a showing. Yeah, maybe have a TV.
Oh yeah, well, there's the screen.
Okay.
Look that up sometime. But yeah, I don't like the fiction movies that much. So hard to buy into them. Yeah. But anyway, so and before you, so one of the things he wants to change. You mentioned homelessness.
Homelessness.
Can you tell us more about that? How are you going to fix it?
Public housing. So public housing in Victoria is down at 3%, which is the lowest in Australia. So we're actually the shame of Australia when it comes to public housing.
I think it's lower.
We currently, it might be like 2
point something,
yeah. So our current Prime Minister has gotten into office twice now, and each time has run with the platform about how his mother was helped with public housing.
I haven't heard that one. Tell me.
No, I think we've all heard it.
Oh, okay.
However, back then, our public housing was up at like 10%. And nationally, we're down at 4% now. It's a pittance by comparison. And really, I mean, it's not that big a ask. We're simply asking, can we have the same as what you had?
Actually, yeah. When I was going through the fusion housing policy, so yeah, Australia has. So if we think it's social housing, that's so public housing is when it's provided by the government. Social housing is when it's operated by the charity or something. But it's the same people it's serving. So yeah, so social housing is a combination of the two. Australia has less social housing than the United States. It's like around 4% or so in the US.
Wow.
Versus in the UK, it's 16% of housing is public housing. But United States, they lock up at any time. There's like I think 2% of their population is in prison.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly.
Yeah.
That sounds like classified social housing, doesn't it?
I wonder.
That is like
In the big house,
That is in the big house.
So, but yeah, you look at the human rights record of the United States recently, and we have less social housing than they do.
Yeah.
It's really
and now like the Victorian government decided to pull down the 44 towers, and it's going to put like 10,000 residents back out onto the list of waiting for public housing. There's currently 60,000 people on the wait list already. Like,
Yeah, but no one saw that coming. You know, when they shut down the Kensington ones during the COVID. You know, because it didn't get into the psyche of everyone to say there's a problem in these towers. You know, we're going to shut these down first before we the Crescent, the rest of Melbourne, and the rest of you.
I did notice actually, we were saying before, like the people who are being pressed, do they have enough, do they pay enough attention to the news? Do they pay enough attention to politics? I was pleasantly surprised that when you look at like a booth by booth analysis, the people closer to the public housing towers were less likely to vote for the major two duopoly. So that's good. You know, what's that saying? God helps those who help themselves. I'm not religious.
No, God gave up on humanity a long time ago if he ever existed. So,
It's the saying by Nietzsche, God is dead.
no.
Maybe we should have done that as I guess a quote. But he was saying basically that we used to look to the Bible, to religion, basically for all the answers in life, and now
We have science.
Well, yeah, like let's not get, but we do, lean a lot more on science. We lean on, like, I guess, social institutions more that aren't necessarily religious. And his point is like, if, God basically doesn't play the role he used to in our society. And so in that sense, God is dead. Which, he said this back in like 1850s or something. Quite a while ago,
before the Nazis jumped on his side.
So, but what did he classify as God's role in society?
Well, I was saying before, like in terms of like what goals we pursue, ideas about family and marriage.
Patriarchal, effectively.
Yeah, it's. Well, I mean, like you agree, don't you, that like God seems just less existent in people's minds in our modern world, wouldn't you say?
I don't know about overall over the whole world. I think there's a lot of people who would probably agree that there's something. But there's definitely a trend data-wise to stepping away from dogma. Yeah, and following evidence.
Well, so there's like a small party in Australia, for instance, the Secular Party. They're one of the branches of Fusion, actually. Would you say, like, would you regard yourself to be especially secular?
I'm an atheist. Yeah. I'm very much about. I don't understand how you can look at the cosmos and not just be impressed by it, and I don't feel the need to put everything off until a second life to live right now and to be kind right now. Like, I don't feel like I need that guidance of you will suffer if you're not kind to this person. I'd prefer to just be kind to the person.
Okay.
60 Virgins is what's got you going, though, from what I understand.
I'm so scared though. About like
Did I not answer the question?
No, I'm just scared. It's like many, especially like Rachel and her friends. Like I said, we can't please everyone. Inevitably, there'll be like religious people, I think, who are not too happy. Well, especially so my brother at the moment, he's dating a very religious woman. And, I'm thinking.
I think religion is really important, and I think it gives a lot of people comfort. Don't be cheeky.
No, I'm a devout anti-theist.
And it has also contributed
to
a lot of
our
suffering,
current plight.
but it has contributed a lot of cultural
So the Stockholm Syndrome lifestyle.
happiness and ceremonies into our history.
Yeah. Imagine where we would have been without it.
Who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah, I wonder actually.
But I think it benefits a lot of people.
Sure.
It helps them through
Into
life.
their stupor, into that stupor you referred to below, as in, they don't have capacity to think and have curiosity and clarity of mind.
Sure, I didn't say people have capacity to think. I'm sure that's not what
Well, let's clarify a bit. I've heard the criticism that Christianity is a religion for slaves. So if we think about some of the the proverbs and all that in like China,
Let the meek have all that stuff and all that.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Well, because especially, Jesus in particular, he loves helping, the downtrodden, the poor people.
And wedding ceremonies.
Jesus likes wedding. Oh, yeah.
Like
Everyone needs some wine.
Like the receptions, don't worry, I've got this covered.
Jesus knows how to start a party.
Wine and cheeses.
Was it cheese as well?
Well, I said wine and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, I think they say blessed are the cheesemakers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
right.
anyway. But,
And all the buildings he made. He was an ace carpenter.
yeah,
Like
that's right.
all the stuff around Jerusalem and that he built still stand today. Like what a carpenter.
Actually,
The guy was
You
like,
sound like my pop. My pop used
Yeah?
to drive around Liddell and point out all of the buildings. I built that.
but Jesus' stuff that he built from between AD 23 to 27, the stuff are just amazing. The Son of God, they still stand the test of time.
Okay. I would say, actually, being a carpenter, wouldn't we agree, actually? That's one of the more noble professions.
100%.
I mean, we were talking with Miles last
He was
week.
great with nails too,
Yeah.
all the way to the end.
But anyway, so we were saying with Miles last week about...
And great abs, by the way.
yeah, it's puzzling. How come he had such great abs?
No, him and his mate, they sort of just go around working out in the gym all the time.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we were talking with Miles last week about the bullshit jobs. Some people even pursuing jobs that, are detrimental to society. But, being a carpenter, that seems to be one of the most noble, well, no, I guess the most noble. I mean, nurses also.
Depends which union you're with, apparently, according to the government.
And if you're a nurse in the wrong union, should you go to hell?
No.
But yeah, sorry, just to finish off the religious topic, we were saying, so the religion of slaves, it's basically, good things come if you ask nicely to God, and he's the only one who can sort of make these things happen.
Ooh.
Versus you look at Chinese proverbs and all this.
Oh my God.
They have some saying about if you work 10 hours in the field, you won't be hungry, sort of thing.
You just blown my mind. So you're telling me that this God that has all this power and understanding of how things go, if I ask him, I can actually change his mind.
If you pray enough, then hard.
So I've got more power than him.
But I thought those who help themselves will get what they need.
Oh, Solomon, you're
That's
blowing my
true,
mind again.
It's contradictory.
If you
What
help
do we do?
if you help yourself, then God will give you a leg up as well, and then you'll. Yeah. But I mean, you can see how especially if they were spreading this in slave plantations, for instance, you can imagine how
it's revolutionary.
it would have worked in their favor,
Whose favour? The slaves or the slave owners?
with the slave owners' favor. Oh, I guess the slaves as well.
Yeah, of course.
It gives them
Well, it gives them hope, but a false hope. Well, same as remember
false hope,
the
false empowerment.
I'd stick to the meek. The meek shall inherit. I wouldn't go down that path.
Well, but remember the Nazi camps? They had Albert mind free. Work will set you free.
Really?
Yeah, but it was.
Oh, so
it was a lie.
But we got you in the crosshairs in the meantime.
Well, I guess it was a lie. They didn't set them
make
free.
them work
but-
hard so they can get out.
Yeah. The false promise. So yes, I'm saying I wonder if the people on slave plantations.
Back into the DeLorean. Let's go.
Yeah.
Back in moments.
Okay.
We didn't get to chat about the carpentry enough. The serial viewers must be so confused. Which anyway, but so we were talking about the bullshit jobs previously with Miles.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the concept, by the
No,
way?
I don't know what you're saying to me.
So the notion is, if you just stopped going to work, would your company get on fine? Would
CEOs.
would society get along fine? You're saying CEO counts as a
Well, there was a lot of talk about that during
lockdown?
the dark times.
Yeah.
Yeah. About that you could see the actual necessary people that had to be doing their job for society.
Oh, what did we call them? The
Essential workers.
Essential workers, yeah. Yeah.
And we've got to clap at the end. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. Everyone clap.
Well, yeah, I guess besides being involved in Fusion, I'm also involved in Basic Income Australia, and that's one of the causes I feel that's not still not part of the public conversation enough. The idea of universal basic income. I guess when you were saying that basically Australia has the best democracy and not much needs changing except for homelessness. Can't we also put this in there? Can't we also say
Yes, definitely.
You're supportive of a UBI?
I am supportive of looking into it. I can foresee that it will definitely be necessary in the future with AI and computer automation. And yeah, I think it's definitely something that will be needed.
If it existed now, do you think it would free up people to have capacity to talk more politically? There you go.
There you go.
We'll take that away.
Yeah. And I'm inclined to say yes, but I don't know for certain.
Oh, so now you've become agnostic. I've converted. Well, actually, I wanted you to become an anti-PS. I've got the other one.
We were trying to radicalize people
no,
on the
no,
podcast.
sorry.
Yeah, we said, oh, that's the one. Yeah. But, because, getting rid of bullshit jobs, that's what many people predict will be a symptom of UBI. That if they have like a stronger safety net, they have enough money for basic food, basic housing, then they'll have more freedom to quit jobs that they find immoral, jobs that they find unsatisfying. And let's not forget, if we think of like a pretty typical example of, someone in their 20s, they're going to make money right now for rent. They might not have, 3 years up their sleeve to go to university, make a long-term bet on themselves. They're forced to make very quick decisions, especially if someone finds, breaking up from a relationship.
Well, but even more importantly, as a society, the same individuals who can now afford the new fees to go to university are the ones getting the jobs in the forward years, as opposed to, as a society, we can afford education, basic wage. The people who deserve and should get certain courses for certain jobs would be, as opposed to those who just can afford it now, because the system has actually been engineered for that way too. That's why we don't have basic income.
Sorry, slow down.
Okay. Do you want to explain that?
I think he's saying that you're not ending up with people in those high curricular jobs who have just paid their way into it. But rather, if everyone's educated, then we're actually going to get the people who are really good at
The
something.
best suited for it.
Yeah, in that industry and doing that job.
Because right now, to get to university, if you pay your fees up front, you get the discount, right?
Yeah.
And so the fees, and if you're, say, at a low income,
I heard they cut out the discount actually.
no. So if you're from a low income family right now, and the new rules that they put in place is if you go to university and you defunct, I think for the first year and so forth, you're like liable for those fees and so forth. There's a whole lot of stuff that they changed in 2020. So it's making it even harder, like the HEX feed and so forth. You can fact check that. But there's a whole lot of stuff that they implement in 2020. So it's a big disadvantage now and discouragement for people from low income to try and even say, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself to go to uni, where those who can afford it can. And because those places are then for them available financially.
Yeah, it reminds
It
me.
distorts and skews what our society could be.
There's talk at the moment actually of a death tax. I wonder, that would, when we talk about like the wealthy,
Inheritance tax.
isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, I know, but it sounds better.
Not if there's no inheritance.
Yeah, but yeah, they're on the notion of like rich young people going to university. I guess a lot of it is inherited wealth. So Miles last week was pretty much in favour of inheritance tax. It seemed like. Do you have a view on that? The death tax?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't put thought to it, and it's not something that I think just guessing on it, and I shouldn't. Everyone, all my friends will be saying, "Don't just say no." But my heart is saying that, that accumulated wealth is part of where we're going wrong, and where the power is flipping, is that we have like just this small group of people that are holding all the funds, like for the whole country. It should be circulating around the whole country. Yes, they can still be rich and everything, but you're just hoarding it all the year. But yeah, so I think that is something that could play into helping circulate that wealth back through Australia.
Speaking of hoarding, actually, another tax proposal at the moment is a tax on spare bedrooms. I believe this was one of the things discussed during Jim Chalmers' recent economic summit.
Oh, I missed that one.
But I guess the notion of like if you have a spare bedroom, you should have to pay some tax on it. How do you feel about that? Could that solve homelessness?
Oh, I don't know. Well, don't people like rent out their spare bedrooms? So then, Is that what they're trying to promote?
Or,
Like what
Oh,
what's the end goal?
it could be that, or it could be downsizing. Like you should be forced out of your home if you're taking up too much space.
look, all this stuff is just trying to shift and change the terms of reference about what should be happening, right? So when it comes down to what can be happening, forget about taxes, because as soon as they say, let's tax, everyone's like, right? And then, we'll have people from the Grattan Institute now will tell us blah, blah, blah. Okay, what they should be saying is, I agree, as our libertarian guest, I agree about let's get rid of welfare for those who don't need it, particularly. So when you're telling me that our collective tax funds are going to people to fund their accumulation of wealth, get rid of that. So when we're talking about capital gains, benefits that, John Howard introduced a 50% discount, negative gearing aspects, which is basically welfare. That's where you get the savings and it changes the market, right? And all the other schemes like your friend you mentioned before who's, shifting, the fact that they're hoarding properties to make a change in the market and so forth, right? They're manipulating the market through that and it's allowed.
Oh, yeah, the march organisers we were talking about. Yeah,
correct. So they're the things that as a society, we collectively are funding that. So forget about taxing something new on the fringes to manipulate it. And you have these morons who are self-invested with the Grattan Institutes and that they put on TV to then give people at a water cooler, orthodoxy discussion to say, I've learned something. Guess what? I'm going to tell you about. No. Fundamentally, it's going to have the most material impact is stopping these social welfare for those to accumulate further wealth.
Yeah, but I gather, and when you were saying your housing fixes, so we mentioned let's get more public housing. You weren't going to have tax changes though?
No.
Tax changes?
Well, so sorry, part of your solutions to solve homelessness. So we mentioned let's increase public housing.
Yes.
Was there anything else we were going to do?
So I would love to get rid of negative gearing, but that is a federal level thing that I can't address. But yeah, a lot of people do like to throw around the idea of that there's no money. There's no money to do this.
For public housing,
But there is money. We're making choices on where it goes, and we're making choices on what we're not taking in taxes and with loopholes. And as you were just saying, like we need to end the pushing down and the penny pinching from the majority of people when it's actually like just a few people. And this is way more efficient. You're not spending a whole heap of time chasing up all the population. Going after those people that are manipulating the market and manipulating our finances by holding it all and manipulating the loopholes. They've got the funds to go to the fancy accountants to manipulate those loopholes, and they're withholding the tax, which should be going back out into our schools and our health, and it should be going out in there to build society. But rather, they're saying, okay, so I actually support this thing over here, and that's going to write off my tax. But I'm choosing for it to go there. No one else has a choice of where that goes. And it's actually quite a homophobic, company.
It is.
As an example.
As an example. And that's where their money's going, rather than the money going into taxes and going into the whole of our community.
Yeah, investing in our shared common wealth.
Yeah. And so that's where it needs to be focused on, is closing those loopholes and getting everyone paying their fair share of tax.
I guess
that was a long way around to just say that, wasn't it?
Well, actually, when we talk about loopholes, remember, Peter, we were chatting on a previous episode about PwC, for instance. They were advising the government on how they should change these new taxes. And then, advising also another client of theirs, Google, how Google could get around these new taxes that they're creating. And actually, just earlier today, I was reading, so Deloitte, they were writing a report recently about workplace relations, about the IT system used to automate penalties. This was for an Australian department. And so it turned out in this report they submitted, it was citing all these people and their publications which didn't actually exist. A telltale sign that they've handed off the whole report writing process to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And then, when they were challenged on it, like, these citations, these are articles that don't exist. We didn't do the report through AI. We just, got some names wrong.
Yeah.
No, you got caught out.
Yeah.
But then, the government, why do they keep employing,
Why do they
PwC,
keep
Deloitte?
doing it?
Why do they keep employing these idiots?
Yeah.
And
Because they get the
Because then they
donations from-
retire into those jobs.
And so, well, that was another podcast discussion.
no, we seem to bring it up pretty regularly, yeah. But I guess I'm guessing you would like to see, let's bring this expertise in-house instead of
100%.
palming it off to all these AI people, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Instead of again our money going out to a private firm and then going off to their stockholders.
Yeah, if we keep...
Why are we?
It's
funneling
called
it out that way?
neoliberalism. That's the answer to your why.
Yep.
Actually, that's a good segue. Hey, so...
Plato.
Well, it's not going to be Plato this week.
okay.
So, and I'd like to play a game with all the guests.
no.
We guess a political quote, who said it, and then, what we think about it. So...
Okay, hang on. I want to fresh right through. I am a tradie and a nurse. I am not into the political.
Don't worry, it's
world
not a philosophy. This
He's just racist pixel ancient Greek philosophy.
just so he can show off.
Well, he thinks I'm going to know him because,
I
I've got
wouldn't...
DNA leg up on it or something.
Most of them, I'm not showing off. I wouldn't have guessed them either unless I looked them up. But this one, you will know this one. No one, however smart, however well educated, however experienced, is a suppository of all wisdom. Oh, you don't.
Florence Nightingale.
Peter, you remember?
Oh, sorry.
Don't you remember this? Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, this is Tony Abbott in 2013.
Well, I was actually going to say that because the suppository, I'm like, no, there's no way you did it so.
He did.
Yeah, I know he said that.
Yeah,
correct.
The
correct.
suppository of all wisdom. Yeah.
I
there
thought you
you
were
go.
joking. I thought you slipped it in. Oh,
Put it on the shelf.
but it'd been better if you were saying it whilst you're munching on an onion.
That's right.
Next time there's some props.
Yeah. It's for foreign
I think
viewers.
I probably burned everything he said out of my memory after the whole digital wish thing.
But and what would you say though on the notion that no one, however well educated, can have all the answers? I guess do you if you're running for parliament, people want you to solve all their problems. Are you gonna?
I'm not going to solve all their problems. I'm telling you that now. I'm not solving all your problems.
But what are some techniques you would use, for instance? How are you going to be on top of all the issues? How are you going to have all the answers?
AI.
I'm not.
Ask Deloitte.
Hey, Deloitte, fast AI.
I'm not going to have all the answers. And if you find someone who says they have all the answers, do not trust them. So I'm not going to have all the answers. But I always have to double check with people whether they're just venting or if it's an issue that they want help with. Because the moment someone starts talking to me about something they're struggling with, my brain starts trying to work it out. So I will try to help people out with as much as I possibly can. But yeah, I'm never going to have all the answers. But I think it's a very important thing to be able to acknowledge what you don't know. Unfortunately, there is always sometimes things that you don't know. But yeah, and just saying that I don't currently know that at the moment. And if it's within your boundaries, I will go find out. But I don't think anyone should try to be everything to everyone. It's just exhausting, and it'll just end up wearing them out.
No,
and they'll be no good to anyone.
Nobel Peace Prize for you in the forthcoming years, I suspect.
No, sorry.
But I guess, you being a nurse, you would have come across people who really have some problems and I guess, you're saying you can't fix every problem, but
Triage it.
well, yes, but you can't fix every problem, but Eastern Victoria, that's something that you can really sink your teeth into. That's something where, if people want, more kindness, that you were saying. Actually, can you show everyone your shirt?
Oh, I don't know whether
Kindness, courage, and change.
Yeah.
kindness is the courage to change.
Did you design it, by the way?
I did design it.
Could have just got
This
a
is
koala
actually-
to
This
flex.
is actually a Care Bear koala and it's got a power. But so it's very simple, and a lot of people are like, yes, I'll vote for you. And I'm like, well, hang on, wait, let me tell you what I actually stand for. Because they just want someone in there who's going to listen to them, represent them, and also stand up for those that are having a really hard time. But importantly, saying no to the corruption and being bought over is so important, because I think everyone is just seeing that deception in our parliament at the moment, where people keep on saying, we'll do these things, and they tick boxes, but it doesn't actually seem to action anything. And that's what people want. They just want, yes, be kind, and yes, get something done. I don't think we're asking for much, really.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up. Antoinette Pitt, if you want something done, okay, thanks a lot for your time today.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank
Thanks,
you.
listeners. Yeah.